All right, try and get this set up here. I'm sitting outside of the courthouse in Surrey, British Columbia, where a Jonathan Yaniv, yeah, this is YouTube, I'm allowed to say Jonathan. Jonathan Yaniv is meeting in a courtroom to deal with his two charges, his two weapons-related charges. As you know, back last summer, Jonathan Yaniv brandished a taser on a YouTube live stream with Blair White. Can you guys hear me all right before I get going? Just in the comments if you can say so, that would be great. Great, okay. Some very interesting stuff has happened here already today, and the court hearing is just about to go underway. You might ask, Keean, why are you not in the courthouse? It's 2 p.m., that's when Jonathan Yaniv is being seen. Well, it's because the sheriffs are protecting the predator. Yes, I appeared here at this property about 3 hours ahead of time, hoping to ask Yaniv questions so that we could get the scoop. Is Yaniv going to be pleading guilty to two charges that she appears to be guilty of? I mean, there's video evidence showing that Yaniv brandished these tasers, which are prohibited under the criminal code. It appears that he would be found guilty, but we needed to know how he's going to plead. So I waited here, and then I got a tip from someone who said that Yaniv had actually been shepherded into the courtroom ahead of time, into the courthouse rather, ahead of time by the sheriffs. I thought this was strange, so I went into the courthouse to see if this was in fact true. So I went in through security, everything was fine, and then I saw, it was very hard to miss, Yaniv jogging up the stairs. It was actually quite quick for someone who's supposed to be handicapped, with his mother. Now, as I was heading down the stairs, he was heading up the stairs, I asked very quickly, Jonathan, are you going to be pleading guilty today? And he didn't respond. That's fine. I went to the computer to start pulling the documents relevant to this case. And as I was doing that, it was about 30 minutes after the fact. I was kind of waiting because I was there 3 hours early. As I was waiting, two sheriffs came up behind me and demanded to know if I was harassing Yaniv, if I knew who Yaniv was and what my business was in the courthouse. I told them, I'm a reporter, this is a free country, you don't really need to know that. And Yaniv took this opportunity, as they were asking to see my phone, to see if I was taking pictures in the courthouse, which is Yaniv's go-to complaint. He'll lie to say a reporter's taking pictures in the courthouse to get them thrown out. So as the police were talking to me, Yaniv scurries out of the courthouse with his mother, which is great. It was exactly what I wanted, because once we left the courthouse, I was able to interview Yaniv. So I stood up and I left. I wasn't under arrest, but the sheriffs demanded that I stay exactly where I was and not follow Yaniv out of the courthouse. Sorry, buddy, it was a free country. I was going to do what I wanted to do and what my job requires me to do, which is ask questions. So I left, and the sheriff was having a tantrum saying, "Keean, just stand here." He actually didn't know my name. He just said, stand here, didn't want me to leave. I ignored him. I left. The second I stepped out of the building, I started recording, which is what you're allowed to do. Obviously, this is Canada. You can't do it inside the courthouse, though. That's contempt of court. So I started recording, and I asked questions of Yaniv. Yaniv obviously freaked out. That's what Yaniv does. But the police stepped in to protect Yaniv from answering any questions. One of the officers, and let me just get his badge number here. One of the officers, officer badge number 2140, demanded that I stop recording, which he had no authority to tell me to do, grabbed my camera and started pulling it down. Now that's a no-no. There's some criminals that do that, and I would hope that sheriffs know better than to grab reporters' equipment. This sheriff obviously didn't understand his authority. So he grabbed my equipment, it's all on record, and then they scurried Yaniv back inside and protected Yaniv yet again. I'm not sure why the state is so adamant to protect Yaniv, someone who speaks with children in sexually explicit ways, sends nude photographs to children, someone who targets Sikh people in very racist ways, someone who targets immigrant women to throw them out of business because they won't wax his balls. Yaniv is a menace. I'll put it like that. I don't want to get sued by this litigious jerk. Yaniv is a menace, and for some reason, the officers here in this building are protecting Yaniv. I'm not able to tell you what's going on in the courtroom right now. I have people in there who will hopefully report back to me so that I can tell that to you, but they will not let me in the courthouse. Now, officer number 728 in this building cited Section 4D of the British Columbia Sheriff's Act Now, that act doesn't have a Section 4D, but this officer said, under Section 4D, you're not allowed in here. And he said something along the lines of endangering the safety of the occupants of the building. Like, I don't know, maybe a pedophile would. I'm not saying Yaniv is a pedophile, but... So, I'm not allowed in. I think that is a travesty. I think that the rules of open court should allow for reporters to be able to report, even if the plaintiff or the defendant doesn't like the reporters. That's not how a democracy works. But for some reason, these sheriffs are standing up for a predator rather than for freedom and free reporting. You can follow me at @TheRealKeean on Twitter. And I'll keep you posted live as things go down, and I'll be posting that video of my interaction with Yaniv there very shortly.